Now, is the ongoing Buckingham Palace refurbishment a waste of taxpayer cash? Excuse me, swallowing my chip. Pictures show part of the work to the East Wing has been completed and will be on display to the public next month. There it is. Look at that. Although the full renovations aren't expected to finish for another 2 years. The project will cost more than £369 million, paid for by the taxpayer through the sovereign grant, and it'll undertake work such as replacing dangerous electric cables, repairing floorboards, removing asbestos. And how can there be asbestos in there? And giving the place a spruce up. It's all about making the palace fit for future generations and protecting it from the risk of fire and flooding. The palace is an iconic landmark, of course, so maybe this is a very good use of taxpayer money. Some of it will go into bits of the palace the public don't see. 0207 862 2222. I mean, that looks to me like a private room. I don't think they would be able to troop round there. What do you think, Albie?
I think we've absolutely got to do it. Buckingham Palace it's a state-owned building, just like the Houses of Parliament. It is an important part of our great British heritage, and we have got to conserve and look after these places that perform very important functions of state. This is a building where we host state dinners for foreign dignitaries. This is a building where people go and get honours from the royal family and from the government. This is a working state building. It is important that we upkeep it.
Nicola.
Get that. Agree with it. I just have an issue with where the money comes from, and it feels quite tasteless during a cost of living crisis. Also struck me yesterday when I read this story that 2017 was the year that Grenfell happened. And I look out from my kitchen window and I can see Grenfell and it's still there. And I think about all those people who died, all those people who were made homeless, and the thousands of people across the country who still have poor cladding on their buildings and can't move as a result of it. And then I look at this palace where only a few people live by comparison.
No one lives there at the moment.
Yeah, nobody lives there at the minute. And I think, gosh, we the taxpayer are paying £369 million for that, and yet these people still haven't been helped in those 7 years.
The issue is that the work started the same year. Is that
yeah,
right?
it was just the 2017, the 7 years that they've been working on this, and it's been 7 years since Grenfell, and we still haven't got justice.
No.
And I just find that
there is an
tasteful.
ongoing, I don't know if it's a legal case or the inquiry into Grenfell seems to be going on for years.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Carol in Bridgend, what do you think? You could see that it's sumptuous is the word I would give it, but that it's not going to be enjoyed by that many people.
No, I don't agree with that much being spent on it. Yes, you should have upkeep of it, but surely they should dip in their own pockets as well. The royal family, they live there. If it was your own home, you would have to pay for the upkeep. The main reason I don't agree with it is when there is, for the National Health Service, why don't they put that money into the National Health Service? I know someone who nearly died waiting over 5 hours for an ambulance. Yep. And it was only when it became critical that they sent someone out, an ambulance.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I suppose the argument on the health service will be that if you put the money in, it will just disappear, which is what seems to have happened with all the money that's gone in recently.
350 odd million is about what we'd saved in a week from leaving the EU, isn't it?
And we did save it. In fact, the government's invested more than £350 million a week in the NHS since we left the European Union. I really don't like this.
That's money saved on our membership fee.
Yes.
Right.
But I just want to come to this point because I really don't like this idea that some Republicans seem to have, that if we didn't have a royal family, we wouldn't have to spend money on buildings like Buckingham Palace. Sure. We would still have a head of state that would have to perform functions in a building like Buckingham Palace, which would cost a lot of money. The French do this as well. The Americans do this as well. Upkeep of public buildings is important. It costs money.
Is it a public building, though, if the public can't access it?
It's a state building.
But we have to pay, what, 30 quid a person to go and visit?
Yeah, well, we haven't been allowed in for a long time. And
for a very, very long time.
You can go and see a couple of these
They've got 12
pictures.
palaces. How many palaces do people need? I don't know. Doesn't feel right for me.
Well, they need one for Prince Andrew.
Of course.
Janine in Birmingham, hi.
Hello, Jeremy.
What do you think, Janine?
I think it's rubbish.
The programme?
Honestly, no. Never.
What, paying for it?
There are people starving.
Yeah.
There are homeless people everywhere. Yeah. And they want to spend that amount of money. Even when they do it up, we'll still have to pay to go in and see.
Yep.
My opinion is they should pay for it themselves. They've all got a lot of money. If he can go to the Trooping of the Colour, dressed the way he did with Madam, then they can pay. Why should we pay? Don't we pay enough taxes for them?
I mean, he has got a lot. He's got a lot of assets. He's a rich man, the king. However, he doesn't. I'm not sure he's got the readies enough to pay this much out of cash. Now, he could sell a palace. I don't think he can sell a palace. It's not his to sell.
Yeah.
And that's probably a borrowed uniform that he's wearing as well, Janine. At the trooping.
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
Is it not down to the Crown Estate they could release?
The Crown Estate is the answer in a way, Albie, but I don't know if they've got $1/3 billion.
The Crown Estate might be the answer for one of the royal family's private residences. But Buckingham Palace is a state building in the same way that the Houses of Parliament are a state building. And one of the things that really frustrates me is we have these conversations about upkeep of our state buildings and they fall into a state of disrepair. It gets more and more expensive to repair them and no government wants to swallow the bullet and
like
do
the
it.
House of Parliament.
House of Parliament is falling down,
Basky.
Buck House is falling down.
Yeah.
We need to repair it.
All right, Janine, thank you very much, Janine. Are you well otherwise, Janine?
No, not really, but I'm getting there.
All right,
and I'm
well,
glad
listen.
you're on your case.
Thank you so much. We'll talk. We'll mention that later. But thank you, Janine. Bless you. Lucy in Essex. Hi.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Great. Yeah, everyone's well today. So, what do you think about the money on Buckingham Palace?
I think it's absolutely needed. We have lots of tourism coming to the country. A lot of these people only come because we have a royal family. And they make a massive help in the economy. And actually, I believe it's only a penny a year we pay in tax for them. And if nothing else, we get a free bank holiday here and there. So I think they're brilliant.
It's a lot more than a penny a year.
Quite often
How
you'll
much
have
is it
Americans, someone will fly over from Texas, let's say, with their family. They'll come to London. They'll stand outside Buckingham Palace. The flag will be down. And they'll say she, the Queen, or he, the King, aren't in. Now, isn't there an argument to say the state should say, look, we're paying for a new palace, you've got to be in it 2 days a week,
No.
right?
can't
And
tell
it's
them where to
Thursday
go,
afternoon, you've got a
that's
shift on.
outrageous.
No, we want to see you at on the balcony.
No, I think that they just want to see, the guards and the palace in itself because they don't have those sort of old buildings and palace-y type buildings. A lot of Chinese people come, they spend a fortune here.
Yeah,
Tourism's going well in France, though, isn't it? They don't have a royal family.
Yes,
Lots
but
of people still go and
they
visit.
still have
They
palaces.
They still have
that
the
they
palaces.
upkeep.
Yeah, but
And
that's
the
the
state
argument
pays for
against.
it.
And I
This is
totally
the
get
argument
that.
against having a royal family.
Yeah.
Is, as I understand it from Nicola and others, your mates have said this, is that if you get rid of the family but not the buildings, obviously not in a violent way, you still get all the visitors.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Look, I think France has proved that you can be a republic and still have a thriving tourism industry. It's the #1 tourist destination in the world. But the point
France?
is...
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. 100 million tourists visit France every year.
That's unbelievable.
It's the #1 tourist destination in the world. But they still have palaces that the state upkeep to attract those tourists and have state functions in. And Buckingham Palace is one such place for Britain.
I'm told, but we've fact-checked it, and you are correct that although there is a thing called Paris syndrome, which is where you come back from Paris really disappointed.
Because?
That it's just not what you expected. Yeah. And it's just a huge feeling of upset. Rob in Cumbria, hi.
Hello, Jeremy. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's a shameful waste of taxpayers' money. When we've got children in schools that are dropping to bits, and we've got people waiting in corridors on trolleys for hospital appointments. This is a question that I would like our prospective next Prime Minister to answer, to see, because we're hearing all this about it's got to be frugal with taxpayers' money and whatever else. So I would like this question put to the leaders of the parties to see whether they think wasting this sort of money is in the public interest. And I'd like to say that the palace in Versailles, in France, is the most visited palace. So you can get away from the argument that the royal family bring in all this money.
You could have a royal family without a royal family, it seems, judging by the French experience. But I guess, thank you, Rob. I guess the point is that if we do leave it, and it falls down, we've then got a serious embarrassment. You'd have to screen it off and everything, and just pretend it's a building site.
But look at the rest of the country. Isn't it the UK at the moment?
Yeah.